So we're reading Jubilees chapter 3, verse 1. And on the 6 days of the second week, we brought according to the word of Yah to Adam all the beasts and all the cattle and all the birds and everything that moves on the earth and everything that moves in the water, according to their kinds and according to their types. The beasts on the first day, the cattle on the second day, the birds on the third day, and all that which moves on the earth on the fourth day, and that which moves in the water on the fifth day. And Adam named them all by their respective names. And as he called them, so was their name. And on these 5 days, Adam saw all these, male and female, according to every kind that was on the earth. But he was alone and found no helpmate for him. And Yahweh said to us, "It is not good that man should be alone. Let us make a helpmate for him." And Yahweh our Wah caused a deep sleep to fall on him, and he slept. And he took for the woman one rib from among his ribs, and this rib was the origin of the woman from among his ribs. And he built up the flesh in its stead and built the woman. And he awoke Adam out of his sleep. And on awaking, he rose on the sixth day and brought her to him. And he knew her and said to her, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She will be called woman, because she was taken from man. Therefore, man and wife will be one, and therefore a man will leave his father and his mother and cleave to his wife, and they will be one flesh." In the first week, Adam was created in the rib, his wife in the second week. He showed her to him, and for this reason, the command was given to keep in their defilement for a male 7 days, and for a female twice 7 days, 14 days. And after Adam had completed 40 days in the land where he had been created, we brought him into the garden of Eden to till and keep it, but they brought his wife in on the 80th day. And after this, she entered into the Garden of Eden. And for this reason, the command is written on the heavenly tablets in regard to in regard to her that gives birth. If she bears a male, she will remain in her uncleanness 7 days, according to the first day, a first week of days, and 33 days she will remain in the blood of her purifying. And if she will not touch any hollow thing, nor enter into the sanctuary until she accomplishes these days, which are prescribed in the case of a male child. But in the case of a female child, she will remain in her uncleanness 2 weeks of days, according to the first 2 weeks, and 66 days in the blood of her purification, and they will be in all 80 days. And when she had completed these 80 days, we brought her into the Garden of Eden, for it is so set apart than all the earth besides, and every tree that is planted in it is set apart. Therefore, there was ordained regarding her who bears a male or a female child the statute of those days, that she should touch no hollow thing, nor enter into the sanctuary until these days for the male or female child are accomplished. This is the law and testimony which was written down for Jacob, in order that they should observe it all the days. And in the first week of the Ju in the and in the first week of the first Jubilee, Adam and his wife were in the Garden of Eden for 7 years, tilling and keeping it. And we gave him work, and we instructed him to do everything that is suitable for tillage. And he tilled the garden and was naked and did not know it, and was not ashamed. And he protected the garden from the birds and beasts and cattle, and gather its fruit and ate, and put aside the residue for himself and for his wife. And after the completion of the 7 years which he had completed there, 7 years exactly, and in the second month, on the 17th day of the month, the serpent came and approached the woman. And the serpent said to the woman, Has Yah commanded you, saying you will not eat of every tree of the garden? And she said to it, Of all the fruit of the trees of the garden, Yah has said to us, Eat, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Yah has said to us, You will not eat thereof, neither will you touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said to the woman, you will not surely die, for Yah knows that on that day you will eat thereof, your eyes will be open, and you will be as idols or deities, and you will know good and evil. And the woman saw that the tree, that it was agreeable and pleasant to the eye, and that its fruit was good for food, and she took thereof and ate. And when she had first covered her shame with fig leaves, she gave thereof to Adam, and he ate. And his eyes were open, and he saw that he was naked. And he took fig leaves and sewed them together, and made an apron for himself, and covered his shame. And Yah cursed the serpent, and was angry with it forever. And he was angry with the woman, because she listened to the voice of the serpent and ate. And he said to her, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your pains. In sorrow you will bring out children, and your return will be to your husband or man, and he will rule over you. And he also said to Adam, Because you have listened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree which I commanded you that you should not eat thereof, the ground is cursed for your sake. It will bring out thorns and thistles to you, and you will eat your bread in sweat of your face until you return to the earth from where you were taken. For earth you are, and to earth you will return. And he made coats of skin for them, and clothed them, and sent them out of the Garden of Eden. And on that day on which Adam went out from the garden, he offered a sweet savor and offering, frankincense, galbanum, and satic, and the spices in the morning with the rising of the sun from the day when he covered his shame. And on that day, the mouth of all beasts and cattle and of birds and of whatever walks and whatever moves was closed, so that they could no longer speak, for they had all spoken with one another with one lip and with one tongue. And he sent out of the Garden of Eden all flesh that was in the Garden of Eden, and all flesh was scattered according to its kinds, and according to its type, and to its types, to the places which had been created for them. And the man alone did he give the means to cover his shame for all the beasts and cattle. On this account, it is prescribed on the heavenly tablets as touching all those who know the judgment of the law, that they should cover their shame and should not uncover themselves as the nations uncover themselves. And on the new moon of the fourth month, Adam and his wife went out from the Garden of Eden, and they dwelt in the land of Elda, in the land of their creation. And Adam called the name of his wife Eve, and they had no son until the first Jubilee. And after this, he knew her. Now he tilled the land as he had been instructed in the Garden of Eden. All right. So that's the end of chapter 3. And this chapter was kind of similar to, I think, Genesis, like 3, chapter 3. 2, 3. And so it talked about the creation of Eve, how Adam was created the week prior to Eve, and how they had to undergo a purification process before even entering in the Garden of Eden. And when I read that, it made me think of how the Father wants us to clean our garments and how we have to go through a purification process because we've been stained by the world. And we have to go through, unlearning and learning what is right. And then it talked about when Eve did eat of the fruit and how he chastised all of them. And it says that go if I go back to the text. Yeah, that he was cursed the serpent and was angry with it forever. But you don't have the same type of language for Adam nor Eve. And so that there should be some level of repentance. And then I read, which was kind of different for me, was that Adam offered up some type of offering, a sweet savor unto Allah. So he knew he sinned and he knew what to do, you know, for some level of forgiveness. Um, so does anybody have anything to add right now before we go into a deeper discussion? Sister Tanita?
I'll just add a little what stood out to me. I found it interesting, the purification part. I think it's around verse 9, where there was 40 days. If 40 days for Adam to be able to go into the Garden of Eden, and it was 80 days for Eve. And then the difference in regards to if she gave, or if, yeah, I'm going to say she because this is where it is with her right now. If she gave birth to a male child versus a female child, just about the purification part. Um, that was one part, and then the other part, verse 15. I hope it's 15 with you all. Let me know. It says, in the first week of the first Jubilee. I'm just using my book right now, but I can use what I read with. I like what Sister Mavis sent out. What verse is it with Sister Mavis? If it is verse 15 here, it would be, yeah, 15 there. In the first week of the first Jubilee. No, that's not it. Oh, where's the verse where it talks about? Okay, maybe that's it. In the first week of the first Jubilee, Adam and his wife were in the Garden of Eden. So when we were talking about Jubilees, just from reading this, I'm able to see how the Father determined times. So I guess it can be one of the questions that we can talk about later. I guess when we go deeper, what is a Jubilee and what are the weeks, the way that they're counted there. You all may be aware of it, but I just wanted to make sure we do cover that.
Yes, I think that's a good point. And we will definitely get to it when we go through chapter 3 more. I see Sister Nicole has raised her hand.
I just want to touch on what Sister Nita was just saying. It's funny. That was the thing that stood out to me the most for this chapter is how it was. It basically kind of connect creation to Torah, and it kind of reminded me that like when the Most High gave Torah on Mount Sinai, it was the order was already there. It was nothing new. It was nothing that he just came up with. It was there from the beginning. Because it when I was reading that, that took me to go back and read Leviticus 12, and that's where it talks about the purification periods. And it just was funny to me how Adam entered after the 40 days and Eve entered after the 80 days, which is the days for after a female child is giving birth. So I feel like these these accounts dealing with creation kind of explains to me more of what later instructions came through Torah, and just lets me know that the Most High instructions was always there. It was he embedded them in creation, and it just wasn't known until he gave the Torah on Sinai.
Yes, I can agree with that as well. Anybody have any initial observations, or should we get into the more in-depth conversation?
Brother McLeod literally raising his hand.
Oh, I'm sorry, I could not see it. Go ahead. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't see the button. So I had to raise my hand literally. So in this reading, what stood out to me were some two verses. The first including the purification instruction, whereby it's also seen in Leviticus. I was wondering where did they come from? But came from where? But how? It's written in the book of Jubilees. I wonder. All these men that say that some laws some laws are to be kept. I forgot the shenanigans, so I ain't gonna talk. I ain't gonna talk to. Gonna talk and talk. They can explain themselves. And something that caught my eye is verse 15, and it says, "And in the first week of the first Jubilees, Adam and his wife went in the Garden of Eden for 7 years, tilling and keeping it. And we gave him work, and we instructed him to do everything that is suitable for tillage." I wonder, was he told about blacksmithing? No, I'm just guessing. Was he told about blacksmithing or something else, or was he told about making tools? Making tools for tilling. I wonder. But yeah, it's possible that that God can send his angels to teach you something. But I was wondering what was the knowledge? Maybe I'm going too far. Well, maybe I'm a bit curious. Hope I'm not the curious guy.
No, I don't think you went too far. I think those are good questions to ask, especially because everything he was taught to do in the Garden of Eden, he came when they were kicked out, he did outside of the Garden of Eden. And how much of that have we kept? What have we lost? I think these are good questions to ask. Sister Mavis?
Hello, everyone. Um, I guess Brother Melek sort of touched on it, the importance of work and how Adam was already working before sin, but it's like useful work. Maybe not like work that we are created to do. Like we build on it, but how the modern system. I guess a lot of people are probably in a situation that the type of work that they're doing is not really what they are called to do, or like the work it's outside themselves. They go for income and that's it. So the system has trained a lot of people, oh, hurry up and retire and not do anything. But I think once a person is doing what they are really created to do, it's not work, it's a fulfillment, So I guess that stood out to me, the importance of work and how we are not supposed to be idle, but it's a meaningful work that, helps with the kingdom and not just any work. Because I'm at a point in my life, I realized that, okay, I went to the school and I thought I'm doing what I was supposed to be doing. But now, like, I have a lot of questions. So anyway, that was something that stood out to me.
No, that's good too. Like, what type of work are we doing, especially in our modern times? There's so many different avenues that are given to you, and certain jobs you could, make some money, a lot of money, and other jobs you might not make as much. And I think this ties right into a lot of things we've been discussing over the past several weeks. Is like, are you going to put Yahweh first and allow Him to lead you, allow Him to show you where you're going to be? Or are you going to continue to try to save yourself and do things to position yourself where you feel comfortable? I think it was discussed during the endurance day, where it's like there's going to come a time where you're going to have to lean on the discernment, on the word. It's going to be put in your heart. And if you're always going to put yourself and think about yourself, then what are we doing this for? So I think these are good questions to ask and for yourself. Sister Nicole.
Yeah, I was looking at the portion about work as well, about how the conditions really change after the fall. Like work after the fall is like part of that curse was like it became painful and exhausting work. And like the way we live now, I'm sure in that time where Adam was in the garden, it was the Most High gave him just enough work to care, care for the land. And I'm sure the Most High made that work for him to where it was, I'm not going to say where it was easy work, but it was just, the work he needed, to survive, but it's like the difference between then and now is like the work that man is like that work came from the Most High. And like the way we work now, as we know it, is work that comes from man. And these people will kill you. and and how exhausting the work that we do today is. And that's why I'm grateful, that I'm in a position now where my work can be um the work for the Most High, my assignments from the Most High, because that's what I feel like I'm doing now. And now I get up and I do what He tells me to do, and there's no pushback. There's joy. There's actually joy and peace. I get peace in what I do for Him, but it's like when you even imagine going and doing these things for somebody else, it's just not the same fulfillment. So it's like until you get to that point where your work is, you are doing His work, the work of man is just it destroys us.
Yes, that is so good. It destroys us, not just our physical body, but even our spiritual life. Many of us are working two, three jobs just to make ends meet. And even then, they're still not meeting. And so when you're working all of these hours, you have busied up your life to the point, when do you pray? When do you read? When do you have time to sit and be quiet and listen for the voice of Yahweh? So all of these things were created to keep us away from the Father. The fact that we're paying for land that was given freely. We're paying for all these things that the Father gave freely. So I can agree with that. Sister Tanita?
Yeah, um, this work thing, once I started to get the right understanding of the purpose of work, it was very challenging. Um, even as Sister Mavis was saying, going to school and what we're supposed to be doing, I can tell clearly that this is not the way that the Father had it set up. So that is interesting. But what I really wanted to speak on was verse 28. And y'all excuse me because I'm a person that like animals, mostly my own pets, not all of them, but But I found it interesting that it said from that day on that the mouths of the animals and the birds and the creeping things, and that their mouths were closed as a result of this. So in here, it looks like they used to be able to talk. and and before they had spoken with one voice and language. I think that's what I'm getting out of that verse. It looks like these animals were able to talk before, or they had a language that was understood.
Yes, that's what I also received from it, like a Dr. Doolittle type thing, where they were able to communicate with the animals, with one with another. And so one of the questions, that came to mind was, we know from chapter 2 that Yahweh created man and woman on the sixth day. And in chapter 3, we're learning that Eve was created the next week on that day. So the question is there a difference between the women that were created the first week versus Eve, which was created on the second week?
So I see the same thing in Genesis. Um, it does that. It almost seems as if they're speaking of the woman as a part of him and then the natural one, but I'll see what others say. Sister Ingrid?
Were there people outside the garden and people inside the garden? Because I've heard two theories on this. Like, could the first woman be the people outside the garden, and then Adam and Eve are the people inside the garden? Um, I don't know. What are your thoughts? Because I've heard that both ways.
Uh, I'm kind of scared to say it, but there's a new age thought of s- of a woman before Eve, but I don't know how to substantiate that. I would have to get more information on that before I even say it, I think. So I'm gonna hold off on that.
I didn't raise my hand. I can raise my hand. That does sound new age to me, not to be offensive. I don't see anything that supports that there were two different women. Am I missing something?
Nah, that's why I said I wasn't even gonna say it until I was able to fully like present it and all that. But yeah, I probably shouldn't have never even said anything. My bad.
No, I
No,
think it's fine that you said it because I think that if it's out there, we need to know, Brother Reno. I think it's fine that you said it, but you also said that it was new age. So, I mean, that explained it. But I don't think
no,
there was an
Well,
issue
it
that you
was
said
it
it.
was new AG, and I don't know exactly if it was based on any real scripture. That's why I stopped talking about it because I didn't know how much actual scripture it was based on. So that's why.
no offense taken. I just repeating what I heard. Wanted to know what everybody's thoughts were on it.
Sister Nicole?
Oh, Brother Maлек's hand was up first.
Oh, sorry. Look, I cannot see your hand. So sorry. Go ahead, Brother Lex.
No problem. He's going against me today. I don't know why. This is first time happening. Yeah, I've also heard something like that as I was watching that video about the scientific Adam, the first Adam, someone who's almost tried to sculpture Adam with the Adam being melanated. Yeah, and as I continued watching the video, it says that Adam wasn't alone. Not in a matter of that, not in a matter of that. He not only he wasn't, they weren't him and Eve only. The rest of the people, like that's some. They're tripping. Those scientists are tripping. Like literally, where did they come with this hypothesis? Can they even consider the previous texts that were written before, even before them existing or something? Like the Bible is older than anyone on earth right now. Then they're saying some stupidity like this.
Yes, thank you, Brother Millet. Sister Nicole?
So I'm gonna read this chapter 8 again on that part because that got me at first too. I was like, wait a minute, creation was 6 days in the Messiah. I mean, and the Most High rested on seven. So what are they talking about? Eve was created in the next week. But when you really look into that chapter, and when I was trying to kind of researching it, it was saying that it says in the first week was Adam created and the rib, his wife, in the first week. In the second week, he showed her unto him. That's the most high. The most high showed her unto him. So from my understanding in that, and from kind of what I read a little bit, it was saying that in the first week, Adam and his wife, the rib, were created. And in the second week, the Most High showed her unto Adam. So it's saying basically her origin was created during the first week, represented by like the side or the rib within Adam. But and basically, when I was talking about earlier how them going into the garden takes you back to Leviticus 12, um, it basically puts it the same way, like right here where it says, therefore a commandment was given for a male child 7 days, and for a female 2 units of 7 days. And it takes us to Leviticus. After giving birth to a male child, the mother had an initial 7 day period of uncleanness. And after giving birth to a female child, it was 14 days. And I think that that's where in Jubilees, they're kind of presenting it sort of in that way. It's not saying that she was created a week after. It's saying that and she was shown to Adam by the Father in that next week.
Sister Nicole, were you finished or did it just kick
So
you
yes,
out?
I was finished.
Oh, I thought you dropped off. Okay. I think that's a good observation for us to see that she was part of the rib. So she was shown on the second week, but she was created since her origin is that rib. So thank you for that insight. Sister Tanita?
This is very interesting. And I think that the fact that it has come up is a good thing for us to go ahead and quickly discuss. We don't have to spend much time on it because I think that just the idea of knowing that there are other things out there, I think that's good for us to be aware of. So what I did, if you all, I hope you're okay with it. I just Googled it because I wanted to know. I've heard a little something about it, but I'm just going to hit on it just a little. It's saying that some people believe humans were made outside of the Garden of Eden to solve the textual puzzle in Genesis, such as Cain finding a wife and fearing people in the land of Nod. And I think we're going to read here in Jubilees how it came about. But then also, I want you all to, and you all may know this, but so it's new to me, so bear with me if that's the case, okay? So they're also saying, the one that also stood out to me was this thing here, pre-Adamic theory, Adamic theory, originating historically and discussed in modern theological circles. Some propose that God created regular human populations or hominids, I'm probably saying it wrong, outside of Eden through evolution. So once they get over into that, that's interesting. While Adam and Eve were later special creations added as special representatives. And this is through a just quick Google search. So there's probably much more to it than that. And people probably have their, theological reasons and everything. But I think it's good for us to be aware of it because just think about it. If you have a child or there's children or some family members and they decide that they're going to go and search this stuff, they could end up in some beliefs. Because I know I have younger girls and a son. Um, not, I mean, they're all grown. When I say that, I mean younger, like grown 20, young adults. Um, and they know, but they could really get confused by this. And so that's an area of prayer that I think we definitely need to be in.
Yes, thank you, Sister Tania, for that. Sister Nicole?
I think that particular is New Age when they talk about people outside of Eden, because we know that the Most High created Adam and Eve outside of Eden as well and placed them into Eden. But people use that as a way of because there's even people out there that say, well, it said he increased her birth pain, so that means she already had children. I'm like, I don't know about that. And they do use that as far as trying to figure out how Cain found a wife and who was Cain afraid of. But we do know that, like later is revealed in scripture, that Adam and Eve had more children. So it was always my understanding, and I think most biblical scholars understand, is that Cain took one of his sisters for a wife, because in Genesis 4:17 it says, and Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Enoch. So it said Cain knew his wife. So it couldn't have been anybody outside of. So I always understood that Cain took one of his sisters as a wife, but a lot of that is a lot of New Age thinking, that there were other people created outside, and some people believe that that the Most High created more than just. They feel like that they just focused on the genealogy of Adam and Eve, but I'm more literal with that, and I do believe that they were the first two, and that Cain had to have taken one of his siblings for a wife. That's all I got.
Thank you, Sister Nicole. Sister Ingrid?
Oh, Malek's hand's been up. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Go ahead, Malek. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. First of all, I saw Brother Michael's text, and to refer this, um, first of all, Lilith. I have encountered that name before. She's she's first of all, let me say that she's a an idol. She's an idol, which is, let me say, is directly associated to Ishtar, and also she's a succubus, as they say, succubus. So
Sorry,
a
you dropped
demon.
off for a moment. Who's a succubus? You dropped off for a moment. I couldn't hear you.
Okay. But so where do you want me to catch up from?
You were saying, well, I was audio or dropped out of the meeting for a moment. And when I came back, you were saying she's succubus. Who's the succubus? Are you talking about Lilith?
Yeah, a
Okay.
demon. Mostly associated with, sensuality. Sensuality in the spiritual realm. As they say, never encountered I've never encountered something. But yeah, those demons are technically real. And yeah, demons existed as in Book of Enoch. So I can get why they're trying to add up these guys, and they're trying to add up these guys over here, like saying that they existed before Adam. That's like saying that so just as those Nephilims were to men, they oppressed men. Even when they existed, they killed men and they wanted them to be worshipped as deities. Yeah, so that's all.
Thank you, Brother Malek. Sister Ingrid?
So, as far as Cain knowing his wife is concerned, usually in scripture, when it says like to know, is like to have sexual relations with them. Like remember in Sodom and Gomorrah, and they wanted the angels, or they thought they were men. They wanted them to come out so they could know them. In Judges, basically the same scenario. You know, they wanted the people who were new to town to come out so they could know them. They didn't want to get to know them. They wanted to rape them, right? They wanted to have sexual relations with these men. So when it says Cain knew his sister or knew his wife, to me that says, you know, he had relations with this woman. Now another argument for this is that, you know, Cain's afraid they're going to hurt him. Well, yeah, these probably were his siblings. They killed his brother, so their brother, so they, I can see them wanting to hurt him. Does that make sense? um so, you know, as far as whether or not there were two different creations, I think I need to do a study on this because I'm really not clear. I need to look at it in Genesis and I need to look at it in Jubilees and just really try to make sense of it. Um, right now, I'm going to stand by one creation because that's what I've always known, and it makes sense. And something else I've never done a study on. You know, I've always been taught that Cain and Abel were the first and the oldest, and maybe they were the oldest of their children. How old was Cain when he killed Abel? And who's to say that he didn't have other siblings out there that he was afraid of, right? How do we know that these weren't his siblings that he was afraid of? Because again, he these could very well be his siblings he was afraid of because he killed their brother, right? I mean, I've got brothers. If one of my brothers was to kill my other brother, then he would have to deal with us. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Sister Ingrid. I think what you said about taking it to the text, taking it to law, making sure, precept upon precept lines up is very important. And so moving to the next thing, I know Sister Tanita brought up Jubilees, and Jubilees is known as the Book of Sevens. So what is a Jubilee? How long is this? How do we determine this when we see that in Scripture? Sister Tanita?
Yeah, so I shared in the chat a I just did a screenshot of a calendar that I have. And from my understanding, and y'all, I'm open for correction. Jubilee definitely is 49 years of completion to my understand. So it's like 7 sets of 7 years. I hope I'm saying that correctly. So based on what I put in the chat, I think everybody has access to it. You'll see the first Jubilee. It'll say JUB1. And then at the end of, I had to do it in 2 lines, you'll see 49. And so you're seeing sets of 7. So when they say first week, that is 7 sets of years. I'm trying to check this. Yeah. So it's 7 sets of years. And then when they talk about, for example, you'll see the first week, they may say the first week. I'm trying to see an example of it. I think we were in, was it 15? In the first week of the first Jubilee. So when they say the first week, you'll see it right there. It's showing you the first week there of the first Jubilee. So that's my understanding. If somebody has something different that can help me, I'm more than open.
Okay. So you're saying that a Jubilee is 49 years, and that in this text, when it's saying in the first week of the Jubilee, that first week should be 7 years. And so
So
you
verse
have verse
first,
15.
when it said the first Jubilee, the first they specify which Jubilee you're in, because a
So,
Jubilee is 49 years, right?
okay. Yes.
So when we look at the chart, it shows, okay, Brother Michael said I'm right. Brother Michael, you might be able to explain better. So if we look at that chart, it's the first Jubilee. So you see the first line. That's considered to be first Jubilee. So we know we're dealing with 49 years. But it's like a 7 times 7. He got it in the chat. Yeah. And when they say verse 15, for example, in the first week of the first Jubilee, you're going to go to the first Jubilee, which is the first line. And we know it's within that first 7 years because that is considered a week. So 7 years is a week when we're talking about this time that the Father goes by.
All right. That makes sense to me. Does anybody have any other questions? All right. I'm not seeing any other questions. This was a really good discussion about chapter 3, and I look forward to our discussion in chapter 4. So I'm going to close this with prayer. Abba Yahweh, we thank you for allowing us to read chapter 3 of Jubilees and dive deep, Father. Father, we ask that you cover our hearts, that we don't move from doctrine to doctrine, and that we stick to what you have bred, what you have created, what you know, Father. Father, guard our hearts and minds from our itching ears, Father, and let us be corrected in your way and steadfast in your way, Abba. Abba, as we listen and dwell in your secret place, give us the ears to do work that is pleasing to you, that glorifies you, that uplifts your kingdom, Abba, and put our flesh aside and kill it. Abba, thank you for this. Thank you. I pray that everyone who's on this call, who listens to this call, that they are covered with your word, Abba, that they seek your kingdom, Abba, that they seek to listen to you, Abba. Thank you. Thank you for this. All praises belong to you. Thank you. Thank you, Father. All right, everyone. Thank y'all for your participation.